Coming up next, I'm Walking with Dad.
But what I'll say about my father, he instilled respect. He instilled in us the notion to be respectful when talking to elders. And that was from when we were little. Like up till now, I'll still say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, because of him. When we're kids, he instilled that fear in us to be respectful.
Well, hello, my Walking with Dad family. This is once again Nathan Caldwell, Elevation Nathan, and we are here for our second episode of Walking with Dad podcast about allowing for dads and fathers to give their perspective about the importance and the significance of their presence within the family and within their children's lives. Today, I have a near and dear longtime friend of mine who will be joining us today. I would have to actually say I've known this guy for a majority of my life, not as long as my father, of course, but we have actually gone to elementary, middle, and high school together. This guy is one of the coolest dudes that I know within my lifetime of friendship of knowing this guy. He is a father of 4 children. He is married. He is a firm believer in Jesus Christ. And because of that, he takes that role of fatherhood quite seriously. So without further ado, I want to bring to the Walking with Dad stage my good dear friend, Jeremy Friday. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey man. I just want to thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for agreeing to speak with the people today about, your journey of fatherhood. But how things going, bro?
Going good, man. Going good. Can't complain. Just living life, just trying to, keep up, juggling family life, work life, fatherhood, and being married.
Bro,
So,
yeah, for sure, man. So, fill us in with, of course, you mentioned fatherhood here at Walking with Dad. That's primarily what we speak of. So, fill me in with, fatherhood, how that's treated you, how many kids you are, how old they are, fill us in with that.
okay. Well, this year, my oldest turns 13. So I've been a father for 13 years. So I became a father at the age of 24. And it's been a journey. It's a lot to learn. It's been definitely some good times. It's been some challenging times, but I enjoy it. Also, we have 3 other children, and so basically we split it, evenly, 2 boys, 2 girls, and it's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment, man.
Okay, cool. And so your oldest is about to be 13. How old are the others?
The others are 11. I mean, 10. He turns 11 this year.
Okay.
And then daughter right above the baby is 5 and she turns 6 this year. And then baby girl is 3 and she turns 4 this year. So
Man, so
quite cool.
13 to 4.
Yeah,
And two boys, 2 girls.
that's right.
That's a nice even split.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
That's what's up, man. I don't want to put any of them on blast, but which one, because there's no favorites obviously within parenthood, but which one gives you the most headache?
Which one gives us the most headache? Well, I will say this: that we had a COVID baby, and
Yeah.
and baby girl, she's different than others. A lot different, very intelligent, and just has her own personality. It's almost like she's been here before. She's the one that gives us a run for our money, keeps us on our toes.
Oh,
She's a little lady. Like she knows what she wants. She lets you know if she don't want something. She'll tell you exactly how she feels. She speaks like really clear, and it's surprising, the things that she, says at times.
so basically she's been here before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Man, that's wild, man. All right, so yeah, we got your kids. Obviously, we'll be touching on them, little bits at a time. But fill us in about you
Okay.
yourself, and then we'll of course join in the oneness of you and your wife. But fill us in a little bit about you, man.
Okay, of course, my name is Jeremy Friday. As you know, me and you and I, we go way back to elementary school, like Armstrong Elementary,
Yeah.
and me and you clicked immediately. We talked about a lot of things in relation to music and sports, such as Phoebus High School.
Yeah.
From the time we met in elementary, I always knew that you were a diehard Phoebus fanatic.
Yeah.
So, from there on, I always thought while in elementary school that I was going to Hampton High School due to the zoning. But I found out after middle school was over with that, once I moved, that I was zoned for Phoebus. So that's how we, linked back up and ended, meeting back up at Phoebus High School. So although we went to Eaton Middle School as well.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit about my past and, school. I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina. My wife and I, we've been here in North Carolina for about, 10 years. This year makes 10 years.
Okay.
We bought our home 6 years ago, and we've been living, just trying to stay ahead and, take care of this family.
Nice, nice, nice. So of course, being you from Virginia yourself?
Yeah, I'm from
Okay.
Virginia.
So being from Virginia and now living in Charlotte, what caused that move? I mean, we all know in this great state of the Commonwealth of Virginia that there's just so much life and just everything here
Yeah.
to do. But what caused that move from Virginia to North Carolina, specifically Charlotte for y'all?
Great question. Well, my mother-in-law, she's originally from Virginia, but she moved to Charlotte maybe almost 20 years ago now. And with that being said, my wife and I, we came to a conclusion that we were ready for something new. My wife mentioned maybe about, of course, 10 years or more ago before we moved here that she wanted to be closer to her mom and live closer. So I said, that's fine with me. If I can find a job, we'll make the move. And I spoke with my mother-in-law. She encouraged me to fill out applications with the city of Charlotte. Started filling out applications, got the job, came down, and here we are.
Wow. And so at that time of making that decision, y'all only had one child or
When we made that decision, we had two. Yeah,
had
two.
two?
Yeah, the
Okay.
boys. Yeah.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Yeah, that timeline, yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, I think I might have visited a couple of times. Yeah. So yeah, that does make sense a little bit now. Okay. Cool. So down there in Charlotte, and of course you've already alluded to your lovely bride. So if we can just backtrack with that story, how did y'all meet? Where and when did that take place for y'all? What caused the pulling of the trigger to, go ahead and take that leap of faith of, making things official because, we're in our mid to almost late 30s. I think the same for your wife as well. So with as long as y'all been married, what caused that?
Well, very interesting story. There's a guy, basically my wife's sister, the father of their children. He and I used to be, real close, and we used to do music and write songs and record. So it just happened to be one day out in the neighborhood where we live that I brought my keyboard over, and me and him was just kind of vibing, singing and stuff like that. So make a long story short, the gentleman's girlfriend at the time, which is my wife's sister, said, I'm gonna come over here and visit and check, check with you, and we'll hang out. And, when she said that, that's when, my wife, which was, wasn't my wife at the time, she was like, well, she can't come over unless you got, somebody for me to meet. And when she said that, he had thought about it. He was like, what? I do got somebody you can meet. My boy right here, we do music together and we sang and stuff like that. So she was like, is he a decent looking guy? Because I ain't trying to come over there to some funny looking guy, and waste my time. So make a long story short, she came over and I was playing on the keyboard, just singing and stuff like that. I was really very shy, like very shy. I didn't say much to her, but at the end of that, when they were getting ready to leave, I asked for her number. And wow, it surprised me that she didn't give me hers, but she said, you can give me yours. And so I was like, I kind of felt a little, kind of felt like I got played. So I gave her my number. She didn't call right away, but when she did call, we instantly clicked. We had like some very good conversations. We ended up getting to a point where we were like best friends. And then I thought, wow, did I mess up by, just becoming her best friend? And I didn't know if she still felt the same way, dating wise that I did about her due to our friendship level, just being best friends. So, we ended up, getting past that and actually started dating. And shortly after dating, we went ahead and got engaged, and in 2009 got married.
Cool.
Got married, and here we are. 15 years later, September exact makes 15 years later. Been married for 15.
So, and how you said shortly after, but how long, if you can remember, were y'all dating?
Okay, well, I met her late 2006, like around October, November 2006. We started dating around June of 2007, and then we got engaged somewhere around 2008. I can't remember the exact time frame, but somewhere around in the year 2008, we got engaged and
Cool.
then got married in 2009. So that was pretty quick.
Okay, yeah. And with it being that quick, what made you know, or what made her know, or who initiated the knowing?
Well, that's it. I mean, that's a good question. Well, when we dated, we just clicked, you know what I'm saying, as best friends, and then we knew that we found what we were looking for. Neither of us wanted to, split or be with somebody else. We wanted to see each other, be in each other's future.
Mhm.
So that's when we decided, okay, we love each other, and I think more so to be transparent, my mother-in-law, my wife's stepmom, seen how our relationship was and how committed we were, and she kind of nudged us, like, you know what, or nudged me rather. You know what, we can go and get this engagement ring straight, and if you feeling that kind of way, let's go ahead and get this straight. So from
Mm.
there, we went and got the engagement ring, and I proposed to her, and from there it was up.
Okay, so you got that approval, you got the good standing, the good grace fairly early on too. So,
Yeah, yeah,
all
definitely.
right, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, shortly dating, roughly 2 or so years, and now you said 15 years now.
Yeah, we've been married 15 years. September 12th makes 15 years.
Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations. Early congratulations for you. So,
you.
all right, cool. So, and you're for the Walking with Dad family here, I want to let y'all know that I have met personally Mrs. Friday, and she is also a pleasure. I just want to say that and share that with you, Jeremy, man. Y'all are beautiful, wonderful couple, bro, and the family is just lovely, bro. Like so much life within the household,
Yeah,
especially
it is. Thank you.
yeah, your daughter, your youngest daughter, she's a trip, bro. But
Yeah.
but all right, cool. So I made that journey down to Charlotte. That was with kids by that time. That was in place. Of course, took that step of becoming married. So if I may ask, y'all could have just been together. Y'all could have, seen that y'all were sharing some similarities. Y'all could have just gone about that route and maybe had seen that y'all had shared that, maybe have had a child, and that would have been cool. But what made y'all want to take that step of actually getting married before wanting to have children?
Okay. Well, man, that's a great question. I look at it like this, the family structure, if we refer to the Bible and look at the examples of how, God gave Adam Eve, and, they were basically the first married couple. You notice how he didn't design that structure as them having children, and then he said, okay, this is your wife, this is your woman. He had it structured a certain way. So we, felt the need to do it the right way, and that way we could be a great example for our children. So they could look back and see, well, mommy and daddy got married, and then they took time, then they had children and grew a family, and that's how that went.
Cool.
So just our roots in the Bible and believing in Jesus, made a huge difference.
Nice. Definitely agree with that myself. That's pretty much the structure, just like what you said. Speaking of that though, you also have siblings yourself. And how many of y'all is it again?
Four of us.
Four,
Four.
four, four.
Yep,
So
four boys.
yeah, and it's all boys, right?
Yeah, all boys.
Man. So where do you fall within all four of y'all?
I'm the oldest.
And you're
Yep.
the oldest. That's crazy. So I think your mother and your grandmother might have been.
My grandma too.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, bro. Like lovely, man. I met your mother. Tell us about your father. Like, what about your father's presence and also his impact within your life, from childhood to now?
Okay. Well, I will say this. My father, of course, we all have things we could have worked on and done better. It's always room for improvement. But what I'll say about my father, he instilled respect. He instilled in us the notion to be respectful when talking to elders. And that was from when we were little. Like up till now, I'll still say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, because of him. When we're kids, he instilled that fear in us
Mm.
to you'll be respectful. Always be respectful. And I think that really helped me, with certain jobs I've had, careers, and just, being able to thrive. He was really big on that, really big on that. Like, he did not play. We had some good times as well, where he would play and make us laugh and stuff like that. But when it came to respect,
Yeah,
yeah, you was gonna be respectful. So
for
that's
sure.
the main thing that my dad instilled in us, showed us how to be respectful.
For sure, for sure. So from those things that your dad taught, what kind of impact has that been for you in your life to then teach to, you have two boys of your own, but four children altogether, but specifically two boys of your own. What kind of impact was that of the teaching toward you and then for you to be able to teach to your own children?
Okay. What it did for me is it showed me it actually piggybacked off the Bible, how your attitude and how your behavior should be. So if you're respectful towards your elders, like the Bible does say that in different passages to respect your elders. I'm just paraphrasing. But what that did for me is instilled some sort of, what's the word I want to use? I would say it helped me be, I wouldn't say militant, but more so, can't think of the word. It really shaped my personality from being little, from being a child into now, of knowing how to respect people who are, maybe older than you, maybe in, different positions, just being able to respect others. So with that being said, it allowed me to be able to explain to my children, my boys, how it's always great to have a track record or to be known as being respectful. For an example, it's been times where, I've taken my boys somewhere, to a restaurant, and we'll go and people are just amazed. They'll be like, wow, your kids are so behaved. It's because they know that, that's the right thing to do. They know that what we expect as being their parents, what we expect them to do. So it's been a blessing because we get a lot of good feedback a lot of times when we go places, even with school. We get a lot of good reports on their behavior and how they're being the leader and not the follower. They're doing pretty good with their grades on the honor roll, and it is with me being raised that way to be respectful. I've been able to show them as well, and it's been a blessing for me to see. Okay, when you teach your kids to be respectful, these are the benefits in life that happen.
For sure, for sure, for sure. So, with that as well, your father and your mother in your life, and with you now being father yourself, but you're also married, you're a boy dad, but you're also a girl dad. So,
Yeah.
from everything that you've been taught now, that with you being a father, but having your wife in place, so I'm painting the picture here of like your wife is able to teach your daughters things, obviously, as a woman to girls, but then you as a man and a father to your girls, what of the things that you've been able to learn have you also been able to teach?
Okay. Things I've been able to learn is for one, you cannot approach your daughters the same way as your sons. It's a different way of approaching when you come to them and correct them, or just it's spending time. It's different ways that you have to be geared mentally because of course, girls are more maybe more sensitive, if I should say. So it's a certain way you should teach them and talk to them because they're eventually going to be married. They're eventually going to be, dating. Of course, that's going to be a long time ago. I mean, long time away, but they're eventually going to be dating and getting married, of course. So that's going to help them, be with the right mate,
For
a
sure.
man who knows how to talk to her, knows how to be chivalrous,
Mhm.
opening doors, just being a gentleman. That's the main thing. So, like being the example, my children get to see me hold the door open for my wife, certain things I do for her as the man, as the head of the household. And so when we go to restaurants, just another example, we implement this, thing where our boys already know to go and grab the door.
Mm.
Don't let none of the ladies grab the door. They grab the door, let them in first. Then I'll get it and they'll go in. And I'm the last one to go in. And it's really helped because everyone knows their role. It's all about everyone knowing their role and knowing what's okay and what's not okay. That's been a blessing, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I gotta ask, man, because you had already touched on it. You kind of was taken from my next question. I was gonna ask from that, but the saying of like, basically a daughter with a
Yeah.
father in their lives, that the father is like, the first love basically example
Yeah.
that they have of like, who it is that they 9 times out of 10 want to gravitate toward as far as
Yeah.
dating or
Yeah.
eventually marrying if that's the route that they take. How high of a bar would you say that you've already set with of an example with that being in place for your daughters, bro?
Okay, so when you ask that, you mean like, what do I expect out of them when they get married,
Well, I mean,
or
like as far as like the things that you said, like chivalry, just respect, for your daughters, and then even instilling that in your sons. How high of a bar do you feel, or if you even if you feel that you set the bar high already of when they get to that point, as we said, many moons from now that they're dating or taking that route toward marriage. How high of a bar would you say that you've already set for your daughters as far as when they start looking?
well, I'll say I've set the bar pretty high because one, my children can see that, of course, I'm married to their mother for one. That's the only relationship I have. So, and two, they see me as being a provider. See me get up early, go to work, come home late at times. They see that, faithful. I don't have any other women, so they can see, well, dad, he's always home. He's always here. He's at work or maybe at the store or maybe working out. But, other than that, he's home. So I've set the bar pretty high so that they'll know that this is the way it should be done. This is the way it should be done. You were raised to see both parents in the household, loving parents in the household, and you were raised seeing them love on each other and love on you as well. So we set the bar pretty high. We expect them to do even better than us.
No, bro, for sure. As expected. So from what you were just touching on, my parents are married. I got a chance to sit down with my dad. He was my first guest, obviously by respect, by default, with this platform. But even you as well being married, how much of an impact or significance or just how much do you feel that your children are really watching and paying attention to the fact of the both of y'all being there within the same household, under the same roof, raising them together?
I really think they're impacted a lot because we all move as a unit. So at times, if I'm not there, and like say for instance, I leave out real quick and they don't know, like my boys don't know, they'll look around like, wait, where's dad at? What is he doing? Where is he at? So it's really impacted them to know that I'm supposed to be there and they expect me there. And it's almost natural for me to be there, of course. So they don't see it any other way. Okay, we know we got a mom and dad, and the thing about it that we love is that they get to see us, and then a lot of times they've seen some of their friends who have grown up in a household or who are grown up in a household where there's one parent.
Yeah.
There aren't two parents there. So I think they really appreciate that because they know that we're both there. We're both there to support them and to raise them right.
For sure. For sure, man. And of course, I got a chance as I was bringing you in and bringing you on. Similar enough upbringing for the both of us, maybe more so of our generation coming up compared to now. And I don't want to count them out completely. I don't want to say that, but of how we were brought up, what we know, and what we do our best to live by. What would you also say is such of the importance of having that, biblical, godly like upbringing, and obviously now teaching that to your kids, not just a matter of tradition, because
Yeah.
we know that it can just literally be like, oh, well, I went to church. I just want to teach my kids about going to church, or okay, I grew up this way. I want to teach it that way. But as far as actually having been taught with your upbringing and that importance for yourself, what would you say is the importance, or why is it so important for your kids to have also been able to experience that for both, you, yourself, and your wife teaching that?
Okay, well, I look at it like this. If we all follow the Bible and hold on to the customs of it and the rules and the commandments, then of course you're going to be able to live life more peacefully. And of course, you're going to be able to love your neighbor, the right way, according to the Bible. So with us living according to the Bible, it allows us to be able to train our children to where their mindset is already, of course, to fear God, to do what he says, to follow his lead. And then from there, being so young, them being raised up that way, it'll already be embedded in their heads as young adults to know right from wrong and to know to remember what we instilled in them. So I just really feel that it's very important to keep those factors from the Bible close and to practice those, such as marriage, And I'm just thankful that I was able to do it the right way, that I actually did it the right way, because it's so much better and easier doing it the right way than just, going contrary to what the Bible says. Because a lot of times we can see what happens when you do it contrary. You build families outside of what God meant for families to be built, or outside of how he intended.
Yeah.
It causes a lot of chaos. So children get to see firsthand, mommy and daddy in the house. We all, believe in his word and believe in applying the Bible to our everyday lives and being great.
Word, man. Hey, from that,
Yeah.
maybe a biblical teaching, maybe it's just, the chemistry or whatever, as far as parent to child. What would you say is like one of your favorite things to do with any of your kids? Like it might be something that, you got four. So it might be something that you enjoy doing with one that, just doesn't happen with the other. Maybe it's something that's shared with all of them. What is something that you enjoy being able to do, man?
We do activities such as cooking. Every now and then we'll all do like a family activity of cooking. Like the other day, for an example, this past week, they were all on spring break.
Sure.
And so my wife and I, we wanted to come up with different activities and different outings and things that we would do so that their spring break would be enjoyable. So one of the activities that I did with all of them that I enjoyed as well as themselves was making homemade Pop-Tarts or strudels, toasted strudels, rather. And we took the time to do that, and they enjoyed it because they enjoyed the process of actually putting the filling in and actually folding it and actually putting their little notches from the fork
Yeah.
all around the pastry, and actually see it come out. And we put the icing on the top and sprinkles and things of that nature. And they got to eat it as well. So that's one activity that I really say that I had to that I got a chance to do with all four of them that they enjoy. There are different things separately that we do. Like a lot of times I like to, of course, kind of be a little more with the girls, just laugh and do these little silly voices with them. And they love that. They really love it. And my boys, we would talk about sports or watch sports together or watch maybe some wrestling or something on YouTube. It just depends. We'll go outside, play basketball,
Sure.
and all the kids like to come by. So it just really depends on the day and what we have going on. So I just try to juggle the time because a lot of times it feel like it's not enough time today. So it's just a juggling act.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm one of five myself, my siblings and for you to have four. So like you said, it's juggling from only what I've heard, but even through experience as well, you treat them all in their own particular way.
Yeah.
And so like, what kind of things have you had to learn about that? Like once again, two girls, two boys. The boys are older than the girls, but even like how you just said, it's sometimes it's not enough hours in a day. And
Yeah.
then you also have, your wife spending quality time with them, and
Yeah.
then the juggling of sharing quality time with your wife. So it's
Yeah.
like, how have you had to learn about, juggling, those different qualities and characteristics of each of your children in their own respective ways?
My wife has been a major helping hand and supportive, and she, of course, your spouse is supposed to be able to see things that you don't see and want to see the best in you, and also, give you criticism, positive criticism to, kind of encourage you to do better. So a lot of times my wife will kind of share little tidbits and things that she see on maybe something she's found interesting on TikTok in relation to children, maybe something off of Instagram that she's found that help us nurture our children better. And from that, I try to take that in consideration and just be a listening ear and apply those things, such as with my boys, for an example. They're getting older and it's starting to get a little, I don't know if I want to say scary or interesting, but yeah, they're getting older. So you get into the teenage age.
Yes.
So I have to learn how to, be a listening ear and to be able to communicate more because these are very important years, growing into, adult.
Yeah.
So I've been learning that a lot lately, just the conversations, because, the conversation is going to be different from a 12-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. For an example, they're getting into the age, they're getting to the age where, they start to like the significant others or the opposite sex, and some of the girls find them cute and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
we're trying to get them to understand the most important thing, of course, is school, grades, focus on yourself. It's going to be plenty of time for that. So
Mhm.
it's been a journey, man. I hope I'm answering your question. I hope I ain't,
Yeah.
going off on a tangent, but I'm just taking it one day at a time, trying to learn how to communicate better.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful, bro. I laugh at the teenage part because I mean, of course, we've been there, and
Yeah.
anybody can go back down memory lane and can remember that, and I can just imagine trying to teach that. But I was just thinking also too that it's a beautiful thing that y'all are able to provide such of an example of, how it's done the right way, being married instead of your children having to imagine, I wonder what being together with somebody would be like. And
Yeah.
that's why they kind of, okay, I'm gonna go date somebody, even though I know I shouldn't be dating, and my parents said no. So it's a beautiful thing, bro. You mentioned that your wife and maybe even you as well, y'all might get on social media, have social media accounts. But do you allow for your children to, be up there or anything like that?
Not at this time. The only social media, the closest thing would probably be Google. I mean, YouTube.
YouTube.
YouTube
Okay.
would probably be the closest thing, and it's closely. We keep a close eye on that,
Yeah.
watching. So no social media as of right now.
Yeah, yeah. Like we were raised a little bit. Well, obviously, when we
Yeah.
were that age, even teenage years, we weren't raised on tablets. We
No,
weren't raised on it wasn't a social media around.
not at
And
all.
you just read a whole lot of different stories about, this condition, low self-esteem, just because of social media. And it's just like, just take it away from you.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you any of your kids have cell phones yet?
Well, we had some phones at one time, but they, of course, them being the age they are or were at the time, they lost them. So we had those phones for security purposes. So yeah, they don't have phones right now, but it's kind of it's pros and cons to that. Pros are don't worry about the wrong kind of material come across their screen, social media. The cons are you have to figure out other ways for them to keep in touch. So
Yeah.
been other methods that we've had to use. So
Yeah.
no phones as of right now. We'll probably do it in the future, near future.
Word, man. All right, bro. Well, I don't think I have too much more for you, bro. But if I could ask of you one last thing with your journey and marriage wise, fatherhood wise, for the Walking with Dad family, if there's any last thing or advice that you can give to a striving father, a father who's, well, excuse me, a man rather, young man who's considering one to become a father, maybe even pursue marriage as well. What can you leave for us today, man?
Thank you for asking. I would say first and foremost, if that person who is thriving or who is planning to have children, of course, you want to be married. And I would say look at the Bible. Many examples of fathers in the Bible. You can't go wrong. Those positive examples of fathers. And if you follow those examples, you do just fine. Be a great listener. Be able to empathize. Also, be able to and willing to listen to your spouse. A lot of times, our spouse can be eyes and ears, but we don't when we're not around. So listen to your spouse and to always take in consideration what they have on their mind or what they have to say or add. Other than that, I would say enjoy fatherhood. Just take it one day at a time. There's going to be good days and bad days, but our main thing is just enjoy it. Enjoy its moments, and always put God first. Put God first, and ask Him for guidance. We'll be fine.
Word. And I don't want to try to put nothing to that. But
Okay.
just because of what you were saying, like, could you also fill us in with like, is it easy, man? Like, you kind of you planted it out for us easy enough, but is it easy? Like, what could we expect out of that, man?
Well, I would say it has its moments. It's never a dull moment, depending on how many children you have. It's always, something that's going on, something exciting, or maybe something challenging. I wouldn't say it's always easy, but it's worth doing. It's worth being a father. It's worth being a father. If that's the route that you want to take in life, I would say just be open to listening. Just be quick to listen,
Mm.
slow to speak. So If you do that, you'll be fine. Well, for an example, back to if it's easy, if you have one child, of course, it's going to be maybe a little easier. But when you start having more, it's going to be different dynamics that come into play because now you have 24 hours in a day divided by time that it takes to get a full night's rest. You go to work, then you come home, get dinner prepared, and you have that little bit of time to fellowship with the children and your wife. So you really have to use your time wisely and juggle. It's basically juggling that. So I would say it's not always easy. It has its very easy moments and it has its challenging moments. But if you're deciding to be a father, the main thing is to, put God first and use those examples in the Bible. Many examples in the Bible, great fathers.
Sure. Hey, man, well, bro, I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you having me, man.
And Walking with Dad, appreciate you, man. So until next time, Walking with Dad, this has been Elevation Nathan with another episode for you all. If you could, or rather if you have gained any kind of value, any kind of nuggets from today, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, bro.